You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 5 of the Battered MLS Fans Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, and as always, I will be accompanied by 4 other MLS podcasters or content creators. And this week's a little special because we have a semi-final for the League's Cup, meaning 4 teams left and 4 podcasters to welcome in. So let's start first with Mr. Todd the God Lewis. What's going on, Todd? I can't believe I have you on here for the 3rd time. I really didn't want to invite you again, but you guys don't seem to lose.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like three weeks in a row now, and so I'm grateful for the opportunity to come back on the show. And I'm just waiting for this point for you to give me the official contract so I can become part of the battered family.
It's coming. It's coming. All right. And then let me bring on Eric from voice of Black and Gold. What's going on? And just to be clear, before the show started, Eric blew my mind twice. Eric is a wealth of knowledge, and we don't have to get into it right now. But man, Eric, you're awesome. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I specialize in blowing minds, and let's see how many hair comments I get in the chat like last time.
There you go. And then let me bring on the person I like the least right now, Mr. Ty Fisher from the Wise Man Podcast. What's going on, Mr. Columbus?
You know, Danny, even though you hate me right now, I still love being here with you, man.
Yeah, man, F you. But I still love Cucho. And last but not least, I got Braden Norse from Colorado, the Colorado Rapids. First time to the Batter Network. What's going on, Braden?
Not too much. I appreciate you having me on. It's nice to meet you all, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, it's a good time here. We have fun with the chat and everything. So I appreciate everybody coming on. And let's get started. Before we start talking Leagues Cup, the MLS regular season does begin this weekend. Now, with it beginning, obviously you guys get your games rescheduled. The games that were supposed to be played this Saturday get pushed back. Last year, Inter Miami had to go through that. We ended up playing Charlotte Wednesday and Saturday to end the week because we got our games postponed. Curiosity. Do you guys think that this is a negative towards you? Because a lot of people say that the Leagues Cup ends up messing things up, especially with the rescheduling of games towards the end of the year. Where do you guys think that puts you? I'll start with Todd. Todd, how does that affect your union?
Well, Jim Gerton said it after the game this past weekend that Wilfred Nancy and Columbus Crew are going to get tired of seeing the union because I think we play each other this Wednesday, and then we'll play each other again next Wednesday, and then October 5th, I believe we play each other. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot of matchups between the Philadelphia Union and Columbus Crew. So it reminds me of 2020 when the teams were put in the bubble during COVID, and the Philadelphia Union wound up playing the New England Revolution like 7 times that season, which, you know, you get tired of seeing each other that much. And so I think that's exactly what's going to happen between Columbus and Philadelphia right here. And it should be a good matchup tomorrow night, but what happens next Wednesday, who knows? I mean, neither team's going to surprise each other. I think both of these teams know each other inside and out already just because of how well Wilfred has turned around Columbus. We all know they won MLS Cup last season, which it's so fitting that we have an LAFC fan with us. So hopefully we can get some beef starting between those two. Hopefully LAFC doesn't give it to Union because we don't want to talk about what happened in 2022. But yeah, I can see why it's a negative a little bit just because who likes playing midweek games because now you're going 2 games in a week. And if you don't have a deep squad, that could really hinder your chances and your position in the table in MLS.
Hey Todd, if we do meet, it's going to be in your house this time, which I think would be a huge difference. I don't know if the teams are as evenly matched as they were in 2022, but you do have that going for you.
No
excuses this time from Union fans, right? If LAFC come in and beat, but look, last year in the Champions League, you guys squeaked out a late equalizer there with Kalen Acosta. So it doesn't matter. I feel like where this game's played, LAFC just has the Union's number.
Eric, what game got pushed back for you guys this week? Who are you supposed to play?
I'm not sure what game got pushed back, but what I will say coming up with us, because we are one of the 8 MLS teams in the U.S. Open Cup. And so we actually have our next Open Cup game scheduled, which is a semi-final also
against a couple days after the Leagues Cup final, right?
On Wednesday, yeah. The Leagues Cup final is on Sunday, and then we're supposed to play a semi-final up in Seattle on Wednesday after that. So that's like 2 games in between for a road game. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. And one other thing with Todd, like I was saying, like You guys have Columbus, which, man, if there's a team that's got our number right now, it's that. But last year with all this, we played the Vancouver Whitecaps 6 times. If we would have played them 3 playoff games, we would have had 7 games in one season against them. And we played them 3 times this season. In one calendar year, we played the Vancouver Whitecaps 9 times. They were also in our bracket for Leagues Cup again. This is one of the things I think that kind of kills the tournament. Like
100%.
It's way too much MLS on MLS action. Like part of the appeal of this tournament is we love seeing like a Liga MX teams, and we love seeing our teams stack up against teams that we don't play that much. Like there's 29 teams. We play all the MLS teams all the time, especially when they're conference, So that's kind of the one thing I think that this whole tournament's in danger of a little fatigue with that.
I'm with you 100%. But I don't know. But I still kind of like it because of the chance, even though all the Liga MX teams ended up getting eliminated already. Ty, who ended up? Do you know who it was that got rescheduled this Saturday?
For us?
Yeah,
it was our match against Philadelphia.
Oh, that's right. Todd just said it because they're gonna play again on October 5th.
Yeah.
So, do you think this is a positive or negative? Because I think Columbus, you guys got a lot of games under your belt with Champions Cup already and everything.
Yeah, I can see it both being a positive and a negative. I think the positive for us last year was we got eliminated so early in a round of 32 that we had like 4 weeks off to kind of refresh, re-energize, and then attack it coming out of the League Cup break with FC Cincinnati. Now that we've made it to the semifinals, we don't have that much time to kind of recoup and do our normal like Sunday off or Monday off or whatever to kind of re-energize ourselves, because then we go back into league play that Wednesday against Philadelphia after Sunday, whether it's the championship match or third place match. I can see it being both positive and negative. It just depends on when your team gets eliminated.
Yeah, that's true. And Braden, Saturday, who'd you have as a Rapids?
Nobody. It was always going to be a bye. Kind of the club.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, the joke around the club in the group stage of Leagues Cup when the Rapids were playing against Club Leon, it was 1-0 or 2-1, 1-0. I can't remember the score. Late, and then Rafael Navajo scores the late equalizer to send it to penalties. We know what happens after that, but yeah, the joke was we were a couple minutes from having 3 weeks off.
Yeah, because if you had a bye, then you would have an extended period. But see, I don't like extended time off. Like a week off is fine, but I feel like people play up this whole 3 weeks off, and I don't see how that's a positive. I feel like you need to keep playing to stay in the groove. No,
I agree.
I think the only reason why I think it's a positive for to have so many weeks off is because when Columbus had 3 weeks off, the first 2 weeks the guys were either A, at home with family, or B, on vacation. They don't get that vacation time that they normally will have if they weren't playing. And then the week coming out of Leagues Cup is when they would get back and start training. But to go this far, it's kind of, as you said, we've already had a lot of games on our belt with CONCACAF and everything like that. It's going to be one of those can Columbus, can Philly, can LA, can Colorado kind of, well, not Colorado, but can Philadelphia, Columbus, and LA just kind of turn it back around quickly, even though Columbus and Philadelphia play twice in like God knows how many days.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If I can jump in here, that's one thing Jim Curtin was talking about before Leagues Cup started, that they don't want to be the team that's not advancing, because that means that you have 3 weeks off, and that's kind of like a mini preseason, and the players don't want that, the coaching staff doesn't want that, and you're scheduling games against teams that aren't really MLS quality, and so who's that really helping? And so Jim Curtin said, the goal was to make a run in Leagues Cup to make sure that, look, we aren't sitting at home pretty much rusty, and now we have to go through a mini preseason once again and then ramp up with the last 9 games left in MLS. And so of course, all these teams, I think, would sign up for that, where, okay, the Leagues Cup happens and now they're right back into MLS play. But, if you're a team that has a lot of injuries, or if you're a team like Columbus that has played a lot of games, I can see why it's a negative, because you want those guys to rest and recover. But, I mean, at the same time, these guys are professional athletes and everything. They should be in tip-top shape. And so I think at the end of the day too, you got to look at the prize money that these players are winning. The farther they go in Leagues Cup, I think that's enticing to these players. And so I think, yeah, a lot of players will probably tell you that they don't want to get exited out early because they're going to be sitting home going through a mini preseason. They don't want that. And then the prize money doesn't hurt either. You know, they want to collect as much money as they can. Yes, they have their guaranteed contracts, but this is even more money on top of that. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, a lot of it's pride as well. You know, it's like if you're an athlete at this level, you just want to win. You want to get those trophies. Like any good team, like, yeah, I mean the money's good, but I mean these are guys playing a game, you know, and when it comes to playing the game, they just want to compete and they just want to beat the other team. They want to be the top dog. I do think the time off, I don't think it's such a thing. Like people talk about keeping the match fitness up, and that can be one thing, but I think back to our CCC elimination against Club Leon, and Club Leon had it was like a 3.5 or a 4.5 week break up to the final, and they came to that final and they didn't look like they missed a beat. So I think any team that takes the time off, it's just really up to the coaching staff and the motivation. A team can come out of a 3.5 week break and they can come out there like they haven't missed a beat. And I think there's other teams that come out of a 3.5 week break and they look like they're in preseason mode. So it really just comes down to the coaching staff.
Braden, I have a question for you. A lot of people have come out and said that Liga MX teams didn't care about this. Mm-hmm. I disagree, especially with the way your game ended and the goalkeeper's reaction to it. What do you? And I'm going to ask everybody, but I'll start with you. What do you think? Do you think that Liga MX teams cared? Because we look, Ty technically East Coast, right? Ohio's East Coast, Todd East Coast, I'm East Coast. Over here, a lot of people downplay the Leagues Cup as not important, not popular, nobody likes it. Eric, far West Coast, LA, definitely Leagues Cup is popular over there because of the high Mexican population. Now, I'm not sure how it is in Colorado. You can kind of educate me on that there. But do you think Liga MX teams cared? And how is the feeling for Leagues Cup in general in Colorado?
Yeah, Leagues Cup in Colorado, I think is alive. The turnout for Rapids fans, especially the deeper they go into this tournament, is just increasing. It's getting better. The memes are awesome. But yeah, the Liga MX kind of fan bases are really showing out at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, especially against teams like Juarez and Toluca. There were really good away sections for those games. But I get the vibe, given the physicality and how close all of these games have been for the Rapids against Liga MX teams. I think these teams care about it a lot.
Yeah. And I would agree. Eric, what do you think about Leagues Cup? Well,
one thing David Day in the chat pointed out, Monterey fired their coach on the results, so you can't really say that they didn't care either. The other thing too, and we saw it coming up, the Google searches for Leagues Cup in Mexico was the most searched thing on the internet that there was. So the fans there were really engaged into it. And as we talked about in a previous show, being here on the West Coast, and as Braden said, I think Colorado too, very, very high Latino populations, and so a lot of people are there to see their teams. And with this Leagues Cup, it's a bit of a tour for them, So at the end of the day, anytime I hear talk about like players throwing games for this or that reason to get rid of a coach, like it is just complete nonsense. None of these players get to this level they get at with that attitude. If that attitude's there in you at all, like you're going to take your foot off the gas, you never make it there. Like you're not wired correctly to be a top level pro athlete. Like those guys have a wiring in them that's different from everybody else. And it's honestly hard for people to understand if they're not in that mode. So there is no like foot off the gas. There's no like losing to prove a point. Like those guys are out there to do their best and to win every single game they play.
I think part of it too, if I can butt in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think part of it too that some people might be forgetting is that Liga MX is only 3, 4, 5 games into their season. So and MLS is 25, 26 games into their season. So the legs are at different levels. And I think that might play a role in it too.
And that's been my point when I talk about Champions Cup, right? Because it goes the opposite way for Champions Cup. Nashville played their first Champions Cup round this year in February, before they had played a regular season game, they weren't in cohesion, right? They didn't have the ball rolling yet. They weren't even a game into the regular season. So both leagues are at a disadvantage with these tournaments. So I definitely get your point, Braden. Ty, how do you feel about Leagues Cup? Do you think the Liga MX cared at all? Because a lot of people are saying that they didn't care, and that's why they're no longer in there. You're on mute.
Mute.
I think some teams may have cared.
Okay.
Some didn't. I think Club America cared the most, given the keeper's reaction after missing that PK. But I also think, some of these players, if not a lot of these players, were also just in a match a couple days prior to Leagues Cup starting with MLS All-Star Game, right? So spending an extended time of in the middle of their season north of the border and not playing these. I can't remember what season they're in. I think it's the Apertura season that they're in now. That Liga MX is in.
I think it might be in the close. I don't know what they call it.
The
close, whatever. Yeah.
It really is one of those. Do we want to play a mid-season or beginning of the season for them tournament, or do we just want to play but not really give our all? Like I said, I think some cared, some didn't. I think it just really depends on who was where, because we also got to take into consideration a lot of teams were stationed in different U.S. cities as their hubs, as we put it.
I have this theory that the attendance and things like that are down for MLS teams just because, at least in the United States, the American fan base, they don't care for in-season tournaments. It's not something that we're really accustomed to, and I really do believe that. I really think that we got a Super Bowl champion, we got a World Series champion, we got a NBA champion, and this whole in-season tournament, I know the NBA is trying to do it. I mean, the Lakers won it. I don't know, Eric, if it's popular over there, but most people don't really care for the in-season tournaments, and I think that might be something for the casual soccer fan. I think they might see that as an odd thing. Todd, what do you think about the Liga MX teams, and then just in general the fan reaction to Leagues Cup this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else for me to hit on that these guys haven't already.
Right, exactly.
I think that I think they did care about it because it's the point that I brought up, the money aspect. I mean, in my opinion, I think the whole reasons why Leagues Cup was created was because MLS wanted the viewership from Liga MX teams, and Liga MX teams wanted the money that Leagues Cup was going to generate for them. And so I think both leagues won. So I do think that the teams cared. And like Ty said, Club America, I mean, that was great watching Colorado beat them in LA, and Zach Steffen, a Pennsylvania born, scoring that decisive penalty kick. Keegan Rosenberry, Philadelphia Union's own, scoring also on that. And so, yeah, it was great to see the Rapids upset Club America. And I know the Union had either Club America, who beat them in 2021 in Leagues Cup. They could have had a revenge game in that. LAFC still in there, could potentially have a revenge game, even though I don't think it's a revenge game. Nothing will fix what happened in 2022. And it's funny, too, because I've said it on my show before, where it seems like these players sometimes are still living in the past. What happened? They still can't get over what happened in 2022. And yeah, I mean, we've spoken to players in the locker room, and Jim Curtin's mentioned the 2022 final. He still talks about how much it hurts him and everything. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see LAFC and Philadelphia Union also meet up once again, but you got to take care of business against Columbus Crew, and they're one of the hottest teams in the league. So there's not much that I can add. I think just watching the Liga MX fans come to Subaru Park, Cruz Azul was by far the most fans that traveled. And then Mazatlan, a newer team, they didn't have a ton of fans. I was surprised they did have fans show up. They were selling their scarves, jerseys in the lots before the game. But yeah, I mean, you asked the Cruz Azul fans before that match started, they say absolutely they care about that because they don't get a lot of opportunities to see their team. And so, I talked to people before the game. You had fans coming from Texas. You had fans coming from Florida. You had fans coming all over the East Coast, and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to potentially see the club. So I do think certain fan bases that are huge cared about seeing their club in person for the first time. And I do think Liga MX teams cared about the tournament.
If I may add something really quick.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
I think the reason, and you brought up people don't care about the in-season tournaments. I think the one reason why people might not care about this is because it's not the U.S. Open Cup, right? It's not
that I know some people have drawn that line in the sand for sure.
Yeah, it's not the U.S. Open Cup where it's the longest tenured tournament in the United States that they get to see their team and during the week play Indy 11 or the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They're basically saying that this is a cash grab tournament, which is essentially almost what it is, as opposed to
that's what all football is.
I think I think on that, one of the big problems with attendance is that almost all of these are weekday games, and commuting in Los Angeles for a 7 or 7:30 p.m. game on the weekdays, especially with school starting now, it's a big ask for things. The second thing, and this is something that talking to other fans has differed around the league, is how the clubs deal with the tickets. Like, as a season ticket holder, some teams had the group stages included in their season tickets. Ours, we didn't. They were all opt-in. And after last season, a lot of season ticket holders decided to not pay the extra for the games. And what it ended up happening is a lot of the resales on these ended up being really, really low. And I think for a lot of those of us who did opt in, we're looking at this. We could have paid half as much if we didn't opt in and just buy secondary market. And for what we played on our end, we played Tijuana and then 4 MLS teams. Like it's not really. I mean, it's fun playing MLS teams, but we do that all the time. So I think a lot of it is a weekdays. As far as the Open Cup, I love the Open Cup, but the attendance at Open Cup has been really, really bad as well.
It's worse than Leagues Cup.
Yeah, it's been worse than Leagues Cup. So, and also weekday games, So part of me thinks really a lot of it is it's not a very fun or sexy answer, but I think a lot of it are just falling on weeknights. And I'm sure you all notice your MLS midweek games are also attended much less than your Saturday games. And so maybe not Columbus. I see that head shaking, but and for us at LAFC, we pack it on Wednesday as well, but
not us. Wednesdays we have a hard time packing the stadium also.
Yeah. No, I mean we're pretty packed most games. Our Open Cup attendance was pretty good as well, I would say. But you know what? We also, I mean, for us, LAFC, like, we pretty much pack our stadium every night. Our fan base is pretty excited. And with our record, it's hard not to be really excited about our team.
And to piggyback off of what you said about season tickets, how Leagues Cup aren't included in a lot of teams, I actually asked around to every single team, everybody that I knew from every single team. The only team that I missed out on was DC United. I didn't have anybody to ask in DC. 21 of the 29 teams included it in the season ticket package. So there's that. All right, just real quick, I wanted to go through. We're not going to talk about it too much, right? Because we got Leagues Cup to talk about. But these are the games for Saturday. This is a really big game. Charlotte and the Red Bulls. That's a big time game here in the East Coast. Charlotte's defense, New York's high press. That's going to be a really fun game. They're both, I want to say, 4th and 5th, I want to say, in the East. And then Miami, Cincinnati, another huge game. Cincinnati kicked in Miami's ass 6-1 just 2 months ago. So that game's here in Miami. So that's going to be a big time game. And I don't know if Braden and Eric can point me towards a big game here in the West Coast, because I think there aren't really any 2 West Coast teams matched up this weekend that really calls my attention, unless you guys point me in the direction of a game that I should not miss.
No, I mean, I think Minnesota, Seattle should be an interesting one. And I think Portland, St. Louis, like, those are the 2 that really stick out to me. San Jose had a great run of form through the Leagues Cup, but their regular season has been awful. So we'll see. Salt Lake's been kind of staggering. I mean, I'm a bit of an MLS sicko. I could probably find a reason in every one of these games to watch it, honestly, but those are the ones that at least stick out.
Yeah,
I agree with Eric.
Has a lot. I'm sorry, I was going to say St. Louis has allowed 61 goals in 25 games. San Jose has been they've been bad. Go ahead, Braden.
Yeah, I agree with Eric. Probably Minnesota, Seattle's probably the biggest, I guess, on the West Coast. But I will be interested to see Salt Lake and San Jose just because I think this is the first regular season game for Salt Lake without Andres Gomez. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do without him.
Yeah,
and right now Chicho Arango's back too, isn't he?
I think so.
Did anybody find out what happened? The specifics?
I've asked and I've had nothing.
Me either. I haven't been able to find out what exactly he did. And since when is being suspended for an All-Star game count as a suspended game? What the hell was that?
Yeah, that was confusing. That
was weird. All right. So let's get into the Leagues Cup. So we got semifinals. It's gonna be hosted on the East Coast. Either Columbus is hosting or Philadelphia is hosting. Either LAFC or the Colorado Rapids. So we know that much. Either Philly or Columbus are going to be hosting the final. Now, I'll go to each one of you guys. I just want to hear why you guys have done this. And I'll start with Colorado because that's what has me the most intrigued. Because the fact that they went and they knocked off, was it 3 Liga MX teams in a row? I think that was 4. I'm sorry, 4 in a row. That's been a great run. That's been what I've been most surprised with. So, Braden, I'd love to hear what you have to say about Zach Steffen and the boys.
Zach Steffen, I'll get to him in a minute, but Chris Armas has completely turned the culture of this club around. Last year, going to practice, I could count on one hand how many smiles I saw for pretty much the entire second half of the season. But yeah, Chris Armas comes in. He does all the right things. He says all the right things. He and Porg Smith, the Rapids president, bring in the right people. Zach Steffen included, Georgi Mihailovic. Sam Vines has had a pretty rocky season, an even rockier Leagues Cup, but he's had a couple of good moments, like an assist against, I think, Toluca during Leagues Cup. But yeah, Zach Steffen, how crazy has he been during the season? Had 2 saves in a shootout against Leon. I think he had 8 saves during that game as well. Followed that up with a 7-save game against Juarez, and then the shootout against Club America was awesome. I wrote a story about this not too long ago, but during that, I think it was the 10th penalty for each team. That late in the order, it kind of gets a little jumbled, and Chris Armas said, whoever wants to take it that late gets to take it. Lalas Abubakar was on his way halfway down that long walk, and Zach Steffen says, no, let me take it. He buries it, and then we know what happens next.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of the Leagues Cup final last year, where it was Drake Callender versus Panico from Nashville, and Drake basically ripped a hole in the back of the net, and Panico choked. That's a tough way to lose. Ethan Horvath. I don't know if you guys saw the highlight of him this weekend over there in the English Premier League, where the center back passed the ball back to him. He basically let it go in for an own goal. There's no reason why Zach Steffen can't get another shot at the U.S. men's national team. I just wanted to put that out there real quick with his Leagues Cup form. Let's give the man another shot, because if Horvath and Turner are either not playing or just allowing own goals, I can't see why we can't get Zach Steffen back in there.
Well, and here's the thing too with Zach Steffen. During the season, it's been rocky for him, especially earlier on in the season. A lot of fans kind of stopped believing in Zach Steffen just because of there were a few stats going around that were not very friendly. I think he's one of the worst goalies in the league when it comes to post-shot XG. But other than that, he's a good vocal leader. He's one of the better sweeper keepers in the league. Overall, I think a positive for the Rapids. He did admit to me, that he's been overthinking a lot of things. If somebody's coming up to him one-on-one, he overthinks every single kind of thing that could happen. But he said during Leagues Cup, he kind of made the decision to just slow it down, not overthink, and just react to the play. And I think that's what has gotten him to this point, playing so well in Leagues Cup.
Well, like I said, they surprised me, and I'm kind of curious to see what they do against LAFC. Eric, LAFC, Giroud made his debut. How's LAFC? Why have they made it this far? And do you think that there's going to be some time to adjust for that attack now with their new number 9?
Giroud honestly is frosting on the cake right now. We are sitting where we are right now without him even playing. We have had another golden boot race with Denny Bouanga, who I think has been one of the studs of the league. We have Christian Kike Oliveira, who was one of our picks for breakout player of the year. That guy very nearly just went to Como in Italy, but it looks like he's going to stay. He would have been a big loss. Mateusz Bogusz is another one out of his mind. Like John Thorrington seems to have this ability to pick out these players in the $1 to $6 million range that just completely turn into phenomenal players and develop them really well. I mean, we've seen this over and over. They're also not afraid to move on young players who are doing well to make room for new guys. And so that's part of like the team build. I think what we have right now is if you didn't know this, LAFC is number 1 in the league in X goals against. We have the strongest defense both sides. Like we are the best team at keeping the other team from getting scoring positions, except for Columbus. That's our house of horrors. But aside from that, Hugo Lloris is another one. He's having a fantastic season. He started out very slow, very rusty, but he has 2 assists in this League's Cup, which is one more assist than Ricky Pooch has. So let's look at that one. That's a fantastic stat as well. But on top
love
of
Galaxy catching strays.
But Lloris has also started to really make those nice diving saves. His first 9-10 games, he was really shaking the rust off. He didn't play for a year, but he's starting to look like one of the best keepers in the league now as well. The other thing we've done more recently, especially with Giroud starting to come, we've moved to like a 3-4-3, especially since Timothy Tillman got injured. And we are undefeated since we started playing a 3-4-3. And some of the tactical switches that Cherundolo has done, he's not allowing anybody to come into the middle of the field against us. You know, everything in the last game against Seattle, they had no chances in the middle of the field. The 3 center backs and 2 midfielders would push them down to the sidelines, and they wouldn't have anything else to do off of that. Like really just shutting down other teams' attacks. So looking at the Colorado game, one of the things that make me a little nervous, one is I love Rafael Navarro. If you zoom back, I have a Palmeiras scarf. I'm a huge Palmeiras fan. I liked him there. I think he is a fantastic player, great attitude. And the other thing is I think Jordi Mihailovic is one of the best set piece takers in the league, if not the best set. I said on our show yesterday that I thought he was the best set piece taker in the league. And I think he's the best American set piece taker. So if we give up any set piece within 25 yards of the box, like we are giving them an opportunity to take one from us. So that's kind of the things I'm looking for in this game. I think the Colorado game should be good. We on our show yesterday, we talked about it. None of us gave Colorado much of a chance. No offense, Braden. So, we'll see how it is. They're also coming into our house, and it's going to be a great time. So we'll see where this goes. On the east side, I'm cheering a bit more for Philadelphia to win because I have a lot of PTSD with Columbus right now.
Crazy.
We've taken two just massive like curb stompings from you guys. Like, I don't want to go near it. It's a house of horrors. Like, and it's there, man. I was at that final. That sucked. But
and that 5-1 just
I'm meandering, so I'll drop it there.
No, just real quick. A lot of people have that question, the chemistry with Bogna and Giroud. I would assume Bogna playing out on the left side. I would assume left wing, kind of, and then Gerard, when he starts, will be playing up top. Do you think that's going to be an issue? Have you heard anything as far as egos or anything is concerned? Because I would assume that Bogna being the guy, and then Giroud comes, that might have a little rift there chemistry-wise.
So one of the things with Giroud is an excellent passer and distributor of the ball. He's a complete forward, and he's a forward who makes excellent decisions and excellent passing. And this is a big question we were debating yesterday is, will Giroud start this game? Some people are like, absolutely. A guy like Giroud needs to start a semifinal like this. But our last game against Colorado, Mateusz Bogusz scored a hat trick playing in the false 9. So, if Giroud starts, Bogusz is probably the guy who's going to sit the bench unless Kike Oliveira isn't in. He was out of our last lineup because the rumor is they were in negotiations with Como that fell through in Italy. So if Kike Oliveira is in the lineup, it's probably going to be Kike, Bouanga, and I think Bogush. But I think if Giroud is there, I don't think it'll be that bad. In his place, we've had Kai Kamara playing in that 9.
Well, I was going to ask you, did Kai Kamara start last game?
Yeah. Kai Kamara started last game. Giroud came in at about the 65th minute. The Girouds came in as subs both games and didn't have a huge effect on the game. The little times he had some great 1-2s with Denis Bouanga. Both of them speaking French. I think they're going to gel really well. I don't think that'll be an issue. But with Kai Kamara, his goals tend to be more poacher goals. And I think with Giroud, his goals are also going to be more poacher goals. We are not a crossing team. We are one of the worst teams in the league at completed crosses. So if Giroud lives off crosses, he's going to have a lot of trouble with our fullbacks and our wingers on that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. That's good info. All right. Todd, Philadelphia. What the hell? How are you guys still in this?
Andre Blake, really. I mean, he's giving you 1 or 2 massive saves in every single game that's been played. I mean, looking at further than the 86th minute, it's tied 1-1. The Union down 10 men because controversial second yellow card to Ty Baribo, the Union's leading scorer. I believe he's the leading goal scorer in League's Cup with 5 goals. Somebody in the comment section can correct me on that, but I believe he's leading. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big miss in this game for the Union. There's a guy who really going to get towards anywhere in the starting lineup, on the bench last season, because of Julian Kranza, who's now at Feyenoord. And so the Union didn't really have many options at the striker. And it's like, well, we paid $700,000 for, or actually, sorry, about $1.5 million for this guy last season. And so let's see what he has. And so once he got that starting spot, he can't stop scoring. And so it's going to be a big loss for the Union. But Andre Blake, I would put him up there as the most important reason why the Union are where they're at. I mean, Andre came out with 2 saves in the penalty shootout against Mazatlan. Like I said, 86th minute, a set piece opportunity for Mazatlan, who scored their goal on a set piece, which the Union don't give up a lot of chances off of restarts. And surprisingly, Mazatlan capitalized and tied the game at 1 apiece to get a free header in the 86th minute. And Andre Blake pushes the ball onto the crossbar, and the Union do a good job just to clear that away. But yeah, Andre Blake, I mean, he's been fantastic since coming back from injury, and he's a big reason why in the last 7 games for the Union, they haven't lost. And so I look forward to Andre Blake having a big game. I mean, he needs to have a big game because, as Jim Curtin said this week, you're not going to stop the front 3 of Columbus from getting opportunities, from getting chances. They're that good. But if you can make them play sideways, and then that's good. They don't want Cucho or Diego Rossi going down the middle, because if they go down the middle, they are going to beat you. And so
don't worry, they're overrated.
Man, I want to know what you and Ty talked about behind the scenes. Like, what made you so angry at him? I mean, we had this conversation last time, right, Ty, when he asked us who was the best front 3 in the league?
Yeah,
didn't he?
Yeah, and I said LAFC.
Come on.
No, look, let me tell you, look, I'm going to get into Ty in a second. So what you're telling me, because what you said Blake, Eric said Lloris, and then Braden said Stefan. So there's 3 good goalies, and then there's Schulte. So we got
wow.
So all right, so let's go over to Ty. Ty, so you guys have the worst goalie left in the tournament, but obviously you still have Cucho. Columbus. Well, let's get into the Inter Miami game in a second. 60 minutes into the game, how were you feeling? And how? Look, I'm trying to be unbiased here.
Trauma.
I know. It's very frustrating.
Man. I got it too. Columbus does that to people.
The tournament in general, who stood out to you? How's the run? Because the Miami game was just luck. But at the rest of the tournament, how's the tournament shaped out for you? Who's been kind of standing out? I know it hasn't been Schulte.
Well, if I may say something, that was Schulte's first game against NYCFC in this tournament because we had Nico Hagen in net. So first of all,
that's right. When we were putting up 2
don't
on you,
disrespect the Guatemalan like that, okay? But what stood out? I mean, I'm pretty sure it was you that was talking to me about it. How how that comeback has not terrified you is beyond me. I'm sorry. Like,
You what? Look, and I don't want to break down that game specifically, but I'll just tell you real quick why. Um, Inter Miami outplayed you 60 minutes,
correct.
and then we were winning 2-0. You guys scored one, went 2-1, and then we made a substitution. We got off basically our best offensive weapon. I guess he was tired or injured, whatever. I never even found out. 2-1, and then as soon as that substitution happens, we have a shot at goal. Could be 3-1, goes wide. And then Tata, for some reason, doesn't make any substitutions until the 84th minute. Why he waited that long, I have no idea. I think that if that game gets played a little differently, things end up a little different. But regardless, you guys obviously have a great front attack. I can't take that away. I still think Cucho, to me, is the best striker in the league. I'll take him over Luis Suarez any day. And I know Inter Miami fans will kill me for that, but whatever, I would. So who has stood out to you during the Leagues Cup run?
Are we just in Columbus in general or just overall?
Columbus in general. And Columbus. I'm sorry, Columbus.
I'd have to say it's Diego Rossi, honestly.
Rossi?
Yeah, he struggled to score when he came here Leagues Cup last year after we sold Lucas Zelleran to Alpha. I can't remember who he plays for in Saudi Arabia, or he used to play for. He struggled to score when he came here. He started to pick it up towards the end of the season, especially scoring the second goal in the Eastern Conference Final against FC Cincinnati. This year, he's starting to show not even glimpses. He's starting to show what LAFC Golden Boot winner Diego Rossi was like, right? And I think he's still tied for first in Leagues Cup for goals scored. But it's got to be Diego, because everybody wants to talk about Cucho and Christian, but Diego is one of those. He's silent but deadly players that will absolutely kill you, Miami, in just different parts of the 18-yard box.
Why didn't Ramirez start that game? I thought that was really odd.
To be honest with you, I did not watch the first half. I was at a collegiate soccer game. But I think the reason why Cujo or Christian didn't start that game was I want to say it was more so rest than anything. But obviously Christian starts to get back into the starting 11 more frequently now. It's starting to be hard to pick for Nancy between Jason Russell Rowe, who was in Copa America for Canada, and Christian. When Jason Russell Rowe was gone, Christian was performing well. And now that Jason's back, it's kind of the balance between, all right, how can I start him but keep him happy? How can I start him but keep him happy? The balance between these two players is getting a little bit tough for Nancy to choose one or the other.
Well, Lawrence is coaching strategy, but it was the wrong strategy because they almost lost because of it. But he fixed it at halftime. All right, so let's get. Oh no, go ahead, Eric. You're gonna say something.
I was just gonna say, in case people, as an LAFC fan, Diego Rossi and Christian Ramirez played together on LAFC for a while, so it's like those guys are not unfamiliar with each other. So,
no, if I can say something to tie real quick though, was it talked about at all with Wilfred Nancy how the Union in the last 6 games? They haven't lost to Columbus at all. Do you guys bring that up at all? Because I find it interesting that, the last 2 games in Columbus, the Union were leading for most of that game, give up a late penalty. The last time they played in Columbus, it was 0-0. And then, well, we know what happened at Subaru Park and all those other games.
Yeah. After the NYCFC game, that was not brought up. I think the biggest one was the penalty shootout and all of that. However, there was media availability today. I have not gotten the sound bites from that. If I have to check my email, but if I do, I'm gonna have to listen to it. And I can definitely get back to you on that.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry, Todd. I wanted to go around the horn before. I want to get your predictions, right, for the next game, and then just the champion in general. But just out of curiosity, I know what Ty's probably gonna say, but I kind of want to hear who's the best coaching. Give me your top 3 coaches in the league. If you could, off the top of your head. If you can't, that's fine. Off the top of your head, who's the best 3 coaches in the league?
Nancy, Noonan, And I'd probably have to go Steve Cherundolo.
Okay. Todd.
Nancy, Noonan, Curtin.
Curtin sucks. All right. Eric.
What, Todd? Did you say your Curtin is 6-0 against Nancy at Columbus?
The last 6 games, the Union are 4-0-2 against Columbus.
Wow. That was something that blew my mind.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah. Best coaches: number 1 Cherundolo, number 2 Nancy, number 3 Curtin. If it's player development, it's got to be Curtin. But it's
player development. All right, but
there's so many different styles of coaching. But those are my 3.
But the good thing about Curtin is like he has one of the cheapest ownerships in the league, and he gets the most out of his players. The last 5 6 years, look at all the wins they have. So I mean, you give him an owner that's going to spend more. Just imagine what he can do.
No, that's true. I will say on this Cherundolo, we are 23rd out of 29 in salary before Giroud in the summer window. But I mean, we've gotten to where we are. We're one of the lowest budget teams in the league as well, which there's a huge misconception that LAFC are big spenders. And we've had 1 or 2 years in like the top 10, but mostly we're towards the bottom of the pack also.
That's Miami.
Nobody thinks Tata is a good coach. Okay. And then Braden, what about yourself?
Honorable mention to Chris Armas, but I've got to go Cherundolo, Nancy, and it hurts me to say this, but Pablo Mastroeni.
Okay, and Omar said the same thing right here. All right.
Can I say one thing really quick?
Go for it.
Dennis Lopez. I'm not a Jackets fan first, so you're most certainly welcome for Bobrovsky. My allegiance lies with your blue and white rivals across the way down in Tampa Bay.
Lightning.
Yeah.
Okay. Braden, are you an Avalanche fan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right, Braden, go ahead. Go ahead. Your prediction for this coming game against LAFC, and then who do you think is going to win it all?
Why not the Rapids, man? Let's see. The Rapids at BMO Stadium have not won a game in LAFC's history. I think they've been outscored 17-2 since LAFC was founded. So let's break that deadlock. Let's go 1-1 and then another penalty shootout win.
If you guys win that game, Zach Steffen better be on that U.S. men's national team when the next time they call up. Eric, prediction.
Yeah. I made a 4-1 prediction yesterday in the show. I think we'll give up a set piece to Mihailovic, and he'll kick it in because he's good like that. But otherwise, I think our defense is going to suffocate like it has to most everybody this year. Everybody not named Columbus.
And then real quick, I forgot to ask. I'll ask you, Eric. So you guys win. You play against either Philly or Columbus. Do you beat both those teams?
I mean, that's like saying, are you going to go kill Jason Voorhees next time you're at the log cabin? Like, no, nobody does that. No, I am 100%. I will have my little half Philadelphia Union scarf from my memento. I am a full Union fan. Please, dear Lord, please don't let it be in Columbus. Like, I can't deal with that.
They're overrated. Don't worry about them. They don't let them. They're fooling you. You got them.
Or else we need to bring need to bring Curtin over as a guest coach for that game.
Well, apparently,
the hate of Columbus is strong.
So Eric thinks LAFC is making the final, and they're either gonna beat Philly or they're gonna lose to Columbus. Braden, if you guys make the final, do you beat either Philly or Columbus?
I think there's an okay chance against Philly, but they're not beating Columbus in Columbus. I don't think it's going to happen, no matter how much magic.
Thank you, Braden.
I have no hate for Columbus. Yeah, I do.
Braden, if you're going to beat LAFC with a 17-2 deficit, like, come on, you're going to have that confidence.
For sure. For sure. I'd be more worried about LAFC and LAFC right now. Okay.
If they beat LAFC, we'll talk.
All right. So I'll go to Ty. Ty. I was gonna curse, but I'm trying not to curse. All right. So your prediction.
I think it's going to be very tight. I see Columbus 2-1 over Philly. And And I don't see it being a high scoring game because Philly's too good defensively. But I do think that the 2 goals are going to come very early, and I do think our defense is going to be very stop heavy, except for like a mishap like the NYCFC game.
And if you guys beat Philly, do you guys think you could? I mean, you're hosting regardless if you win. Do you think you'll beat LAFC and Colorado no matter who comes in?
Yes.
You think you're going to win it all? Okay. So you think you're going to win it all. All right.
Yep.
And then
Sorry,
Todd,
Eric.
Todd, every single person here said if we play Philly, we're going to kick their ass. So, Todd, give me your prediction.
I didn't say that.
Every single person here said, I don't know about Columbus, but Philly we got. Like, everybody said that we'd be Philly. So, Todd, how you feeling?
Yeah, I got Columbus winning the whole thing. I think tomorrow's game is going to be 1-1. I think Columbus wins it in penalty kicks. And yeah, I have no hate for Columbus either. I mean, they produce great commentators, Jordan Angeli, Neil Sika, Chris Doran. I mean, fantastic organization out there in Columbus.
You know, Todd, Apollo thought he was going to beat Rocky with no problem either, you know.
There you go. There you go. That's what I like to hear. No, I think Columbus will beat Philly, but I think Columbus loses to LAFC in the final. And that's because I don't know why I like LAFC. Maybe it's because I feel like they are what Miami wants to be. It just hasn't been able to accomplish yet.
If it's LAFC versus Philly in the final, Philly isn't beating LAFC at home. They can't get by LAFC, not at all.
Would they beat Colorado?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, see, I look forward to that game too because I know nobody in this comment section is going to know this. So it's going to be a derby game for Chris Zutterbart, who was the scout out in Colorado. Now the director of scouting in Philadelphia, was hired earlier in the summertime, I believe it was, by Philadelphia. So that would be an interesting game for Chris.
That
CZ Rapids legend.
And for the show, I should have Ty and an Austin FC fan. Let them fight it out. Ty doesn't have any problems with Austin FC. I've had Ty and Justin on at the same time because Justin is Cincinnati and Ty's Columbus. So that was interesting.
I have no ill will towards Austin FC fans. It's me personally. I don't have any ill will towards any Austin FC fans. The only ill will that I have is with the owner. That's it.
Oh, there's a backstory to this. Okay. See, I wasn't aware of that.
I will say with this one, Daniel, I will bet you will not find a single Carson podcaster who will go on with an LAFC podcast.
Carson.
They don't exist. No, like the hatred is something, man.
No, man, it's fun though. I love getting Orlando people on here, even though Orlando sucks and we don't really consider them a rival. But you know, I like the back and forth. It's fun.
Apparently, Columbus sucks too in Danny's eyes.
Yeah,
Orlando, man. Orlando booed Guzan in the World Cup qualifier against Panama. Like, I don't know if you all remember this, but they played. Yeah, the U.S. team played Orlando. They played in Orlando Stadium against Panama in a World Cup qualifier in like 2019, and the Orlando fans there sat behind the goal and booed Guzan because he was on Atlanta, like ruthlessly, like that. I gained a ton of respect for their fan base after that moment.
Well, I will tell you that I sit right behind the goal here in Miami, and whatever goalie's here, they've heard me and Chris, the co-host for Battered Herons. We let them have it, especially when it's Gillespie. Oh, can't stand that guy. And next time, Schulte's gonna get it from us also. F Schulte. All right,
that's wild.
So we're gonna sign off here, but before we do, obviously, I want you guys to plug wherever everybody can find you, and also. Me and my co-host Chris, we have a back and forth. He hates that I'm not a Keanu Reeves fan. I'm not a Keanu Reeves fan. Eric, you kind of look like Keanu Reeves. So I'm going to start with you. Keanu Reeves, yes or no?
You know, as long as you don't tell me that Caesar was a salad dressing dude. What? None of you know Bill and Ted. I'm old here. Yeah, Keanu's awesome. Not to mention, aside from his movie roles, in real life, the guy is awesome to everybody. Like you can't hate a guy that's that nice.
Well, I can hate his movies. I don't hate him, but I just don't like his movies.
Oh, Bill and Ted was man. I grew up on that.
But that was like early 90s. But since then, he's done the same voice and monotone for like every film since then.
Yeah, I can't tell you I've watched a ton of his movies, but
have you watched
I remember
The Matrix?
that one and like The Matrix, maybe a couple other one, and they were cool.
I don't know. I'm not a big Keanu fan. So let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find us at the Voices of Black and Gold podcast, VOBG. Anything LAFC, we're quite homers. And that's it. You know, a lot of it just started because, and I'm sure a lot of you can empathize with this, like the MLS media is really not that good. And so I think a lot of us fans, it's kind of up to us, just like the fans have kind of helped grow this league. The fans need to help grow the media ecosystem as well to really make it more interesting and spicy.
For sure. I 100% agree. And Ty, if you're wondering, I purposely put the comment across your face so I wouldn't see you anymore. Go ahead. Todd, let everybody know where they can find you and Keanu Reeves. Yes or no?
I'll go with yes.
Oh,
and we don't agree on a lot thing.
I can see that.
And so I'm surprised you keep inviting me back. I guess Chris has more pull than what I thought he had. So I appreciate you, Chris. But yeah, if you guys want to follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's at Free Kick Pod. Wherever you get your podcast, the Free Kick, YouTube channel, youtube.com/freekickpod. The Substack, thefreekick.substack.com. So yeah, thanks again, Danny, for having me on the podcast. And
it wasn't planned. You guys just won again.
Well, look, what are you going to do when these teams play a third place game? Are you going to invite all of us back on again?
Absolutely not. No, the game, we do this every Tuesday, so the game will be done by then. The Leagues Cup ends this weekend.
I try to sneak us back on there.
Leagues Cup wrap up. There you go, Danny.
Yeah. Braden, appreciate you hanging out with us for the first time, and I hope you can make it out again. Well, let everybody know where they could find you, and Keanu Reeves. You got to give me the answer.
Yeah, absolutely, Daniel. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. Keanu Reeves, sure. Haven't watched much of his movies either, but he's an A1 dude. So yeah, Keanu Reeves, yes. You can find me on Twitter at Braden Nurse, just like you see it on the screen. Not much of a podcaster, but if you like to read, you can go find my stuff on the Denver Post.
Awesome. Oh, and Denver Post, look at that. All right, and then Ty, let me take this off of Braden. I don't want to insult him.
That's crazy.
I don't want to insult him. All right, go ahead. Ty.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. Yeah, definitely great guy. Danny, I think you just don't like anything. Keanu Reeves, like Brandon said, A1 guy. So yeah, I'll take Keanu Reeves. You guys can follow the Wiseman Say podcast at Wiseman Pod on Twitter, and find me on Twitter at FisherTyler__. And like Braden, if you guys like to read, you guys can find myself on masterreport.com.
Awesome. I really appreciate all four of you guys joining. The best of luck to you guys. Well, actually, no, three of you, Ty and Columbus. The best of luck to the other three teams. And it was a great time. If you guys are listening on audio, we appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe. And for those of you that are in the chat right now, we appreciate you hanging out with us. You guys are the best part of the show. And please, before you log off, just leave us a like. Yeah, you wouldn't believe what a difference that makes to other people finding the pod. And if you just want to talk to people and let them know that there's another MLS podcast out there that talks about general MLS with other MLS podcasters, just let them know to tune in and subscribe. We appreciate you guys. And we'll be back next Tuesday to talk the return of the MLS and hopefully 3 of these 4 teams winning the Leagues Cup. So until the next one,